Hi, greetings, it's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and this is the 15th and very last video of my marketing series of videos. So if you haven't watched the other videos in this series, I highly suggest you go back if you're interested in marketing, or you own your own company and you want some tips to do it, or you want to get into marketing. So whatever reason, this final 15th video is on the supply chain and channel management. And some of the things that we're going to talk about in this video are the importance of marketing channels and supply chain management. We're going to talk about the differences between direct and indirect marketing channels. We're going to talk about marketing channels, how they're managed, and the flow of information of merchandising and marketing channels. Let's face it, we are in a global marketplace, and it's very, very competitive. And the biggest company on earth right now is Amazon. And think about all of the products that it must carry in each of its warehouses, and how does it keep track of all of these things? Well, obviously technology is the savior to make sure that Amazon's customers get what they want, or whatever company it is. So there is a really important thing called marketing channel management and supply chain management. It is important part of the marketing mix, because this is the stuff that happens behind the scenes. The marketing channel management truly adds value because it gets the products to customers efficiently, quickly, and hopefully at low cost. So within the supply chain management, it starts with the manufacturer, then goes to the retail distributors, and then it goes to the stores, and then on to customers. And so usually there are different ways in which organizations manage their channels to add value. You know, sometimes it's using 3 different factories and 1 different warehouse to distribute things, or it could be 3 different factories directly to the consumer. And so it has to do with how many transactions. Every transaction, there's a little bit of cost involved, and there's a little bit of speed involved too. So obviously, the fewer transactions, the quicker and lower cost. So marketing channels do add value to every kind of organization. It really is about reducing the number of transactions, increasing value for consumers, and being more efficient and effective. An efficient supply chain can lower all inventory in a system, because merchandise is delivered when it's needed, and that's called just in time. And by having an efficient supply chain, retailers stay in stock and sales increase. Can you imagine how frustrated customers can get when they go to purchase a particular product and it is not there? So don't lose customers by having a poor management of your products. So marketing channel management truly affects many aspects of marketing. It's about fulfilling delivery promises, meeting customer expectations, and recognizing that it is really reliant on an efficient supply chain. There are many different ways to design marketing channels. There's a direct channel, which is the manufacturer to the customer. There's direct channel with 1 intermediary, that's the manufacturer to the retailer, and then on to the customer. Or there's the direct channel with 2 intermediaries, or whatever number you want, and that's the manufacturer to the wholesaler to the retailer, and then to the customer. So whatever you have different channels in your supply chain, you do have to recognize horizontal conflict and horizontal conflict and vertical conflict. So manufacturer to retailer is vertical, and then horizontal is retailer to retailer to retailer. So conflict occurs. It is really, whenever there's conflict, it is best to be able to negotiate things, and then have clear set standards in place. When you're managing the marketing channel and supply chain, you have to take a look at vertical marketing systems. And they can be independent or conventional. In the independent marketing channel, it goes from manufacturer to wholesaler to retailer to consumer. And depending on the type of relationship that you want, you really should consider whatever in your network. Who do you want in your network, and how professional they are in administering, getting you what you need. So with the vertical marketing systems, it's administered by a vertical marketing system. There are contractual vertical marketing systems and corporate vertical market systems. And being aware of what those each look like is very important. Going back to a previous lecture in my human relations series, there are different types of power to consider. That's reward, coercive, referent, expertise, information, and legitimate. When you are managing marketing channels and supply chains, you have to have strategic relationships. There needs to be mutual trust. There has to be open communication. You have to have common goals and be very clear on what those are. There needs to be a clear sense of interdependence and credible commitments. When you are recognizing the flows of information, that really matters too. And so sometimes it goes from the customer to the store, or to the store to the customer, or the store to the distribution center, or the store to the buyer, or to the manufacturers. And so being very clear on where that information flows can help exchange data a lot quicker. With data warehouses, there is something called electronic data interchange, and then there's a cycle time, a quality of communication, and it's easily it's analyzed so that it helps maintain in-stock conditions for the organization. Sometimes vendors manage inventory, and so we call that a vendor managed inventory system, or VMI, and it is all about making sure that the supply chain is more efficient and maintaining the retailer's inventory levels at each of the stores that the vendor is responsible for. When you're making merchandise flow through the marketing channels, you have to be aware of how it works. Sometimes it goes directly from the manufacturer to the distribution center and then to a store. Many companies like to have their own distribution center. And sometimes they have, in order to cut costs, it goes directly from the manufacturer to the store. So there are options that can be considered for costs or just for the sake of maintaining consistency. One company that really got a solid start is the Dell Computer Company, for instance. And I can remember that it used to Packard was the biggest computer manufacturer, and Dell was started from a college student from his dorm room, and he developed a system that ended up allowing people to have customizable computers, and so that really helped build the reputation of Dell computers. There are advantages and disadvantages that should be considered with distribution centers. How accurately can a company forecast sales for their stores? Having a distribution center can lower inventory in each store and then lower all inventory costs. An overstock and understock situation can be better managed, and it really is less extensive to store in a remote warehouse than taking up space in a retail location. So with the distribution center, they have to consider the management of inbound transportation, receiving and checking use of UPC and RFID. There's storing and cross-docking, getting merchandise from floor ready, and then preparing to ship, and then shipping it to the store. With inbound transportation, the dispatcher coordinates the deliveries. The manufacturer may be the one that pays transportation expenses, or retailers may negotiate directly with trucking companies and pay those expenses. With receiving, there's receiving process where there is an arrival receipt. There's checking up to make sure the product is undamaged and what they have ordered is received. And FID stands for radio frequency distribution tags. They help make sure that they can track the product more efficiently. So with storing and cross-docking, there is traditional cross-docking and then any kind of a combination of that, and it really is one of the most important functions of the supply chain to hold merchandise until the next link in the supply chain is ready for it. But many firms strive to hold merchandise in a minimum amount of time because holding merchandise in a distribution center can be expensive and the merchandise isn't available for sale. So cross-docking distribution centers are a part of just-in-time delivery systems. When you're getting ready for merchandise to go on the sales floor, there's a ticketing and marking process, and firms are starting to force suppliers to ship floor-ready merchandise. And so these are arrangements that companies make with manufacturers. So when you are shipping merchandise to the stores, it can be a kind of a complex situation when multiple stores are involved, and distribution centers often use sophisticated routing and scheduling technology in order to do that. And it's important to be able to keep track of orders and tracking sales and tracking how much, obviously customers are buying, and there's theft that can be figured into that too. So having just-in-time inventory management systems makes sure that customers have the latest and greatest products on the shelf, and when one product is gone, they're quickly replenished. So companies really have to make sure that customers are getting what they expect to get, or they can lose to their competitions at all times. So it really is important for organizations to have very, very clear supply chain and channel management systems in place to make sure that they don't lose market share. All right, I hope that you've enjoyed this video and this video series. I highly encourage you, if you are in business for yourself or considering being in business for yourself or wanting to work in the marketing business, that you go back and review any of these 15 videos. I also have other series of videos on my YouTube site that I encourage you to check out. Of course, there's no cost to you to watch the videos. So anyway, thank you so much for your valuable time and consideration. I hope that you have a great day, because only you get to choose how you feel about it.